Gitmo, probably put some of the guys who were there in regular American prisons. But there are 245 people there. How do you find out who's good, who's bad, who's in between? Well, you got to look at the files. The problem is the files seem to be a mess, seem to be disjointed. That's a serious problem. Here's who we're going to talk to right now. This guy's a soldier. He has served his country. In fact, put up his picture, if you would, the picture that we have of him. That's what he looks like right there. Proud American, proud fighting man, proud soldier, served his country, asked to be a prosecutor. He's a lieutenant colonel, and he's joining us now by phone. Daryl Vandervold, thanks for being with us, sir.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
All right, we've got a picture that we're going to put up as well. Put this picture up of this teenager. You want to see what somebody looks like who's inside Gitmo, somebody who's in Guantanamo, one of the people being held there. There you go. That's one of the so-called terrorists in Guantanamo. This kid, my God, he looks like one of my sons. He's illiterate. He was recruited by insurgents. He was accused of tossing some kind of hand grenade. How bad is he? Well, let's ask Daryl because he would know. Lieutenant Colonel, tell us about this kid. Who is he? Is he a big-time terrorist?
Well, you know, that's what I thought when I first started prosecuting him. The information that I had suggested that he had confessed to throwing this grenade, which did injure a couple of U.S. Special Forces soldiers who were badly injured, no doubt about it. They've recovered now, thank God. But supposedly I had a confession from the Afghan police and a subsequent confession to U.S. interrogators. So when I looked at the file, I thought, this is a slam dunk. This is, a case that I've prosecuted by the dozens in civilian life. And what I found out was something very different.
That you had no information and you couldn't prove who he was, or if he was just some poor kid from the slums who got picked up or recruited and paid to do something not so good, huh?
Well, that's right. I mean, what happened was I found out that there was evidence that he'd been tortured by the Afghan police. The military judge assigned to the case ruled, in fact, after I had left the commissions, that the confessions had been obtained by torture.
Great. There's something else I want to get in here real quick. I don't mean to interrupt you, but before we run out of time, here's something you filed. I'm going to read to the viewers your words, then I want you to explain it on the back side. Because this is kind of upsetting as we read it as Americans, especially considering that the war on terror was supposed to be the #1 priority for this country over the last 7 years. You, as a prosecutor, when you were handled these cases, wrote this: I discovered that the evidence, such as it was, remained scattered throughout an incomprehensible labyrinth of databases, strewn throughout the prosecution offices, in desk drawers, bookcases, packed with vaguely labeled plastic containers, or even on tops of desks vacated by prosecutors who had departed for other assignments. The state of disarray was so extensive that I later learned that crucial evidence and other documents relevant to the prosecution had been tossed into lockers located at Guantanamo and promptly forgotten. Wow.
Yeah, and as somebody who has proudly served his country, I could not believe and I couldn't accept that our military had performed so badly, given 6 years to put this evidence in order, to organize it, to systematize it, and to come up with prosecutable cases. Instead, nothing of the sort was done, and the end result is you've got a kid like Mohammed Jawad, who's been in Guantanamo now for 6 years, going on 7, who has no immediate prospect for release.
And you are a prosecutor for, or were a prosecutor for, the U.S. military. Lieutenant Colonel Daryl Vandervold, my thanks to you. We'll keep tabs on this, and thanks for sharing that information with us.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
A whole lot can happen in a day. We told you about a new alleged sex scandal involving Pastor Ted